Saturday's bout between USC and Wisconsin displayed a tale of two halves as the Trojans shined in the final 30 minutes to take down their Big Ten foe. USC's defense has hit its strides under new defensive coordinator Danton Lynn and is now ranked 32nd in total defense. UCLA transfer safety Kamari Ramsey showed glimpses of Big Ten physicality as he led the charge with 2 tackles for loss, and linebacker Mason Cobb took an interception to the house, effectively sealing the Badgers' fate. With 0 consecutive home games on its schedule, USC now treks up to Minnesota to face a Gophers team that went toe-to-toe with the defending national champions. Similar to USC, Minnesota showed its ability to play clutch second-half football despite falling short to Michigan. With a solid offensive line, the Gophers enjoy creating holes for tailback Darius Taylor, who is among the Big Ten's best with 5 touchdowns on the ground. Minnesota head coach P.J. Fleck talked about their preparation for the Trojans.
USC did lose. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but the comeback was really exciting, especially that 2-point conversion attempt that USC almost converted at the end to get back into the game. But I think it's just, once again, I'll say it again, little mistakes that cost the USC defense week in and week out. Max Williams turning his shoulder the wrong way, ultimately causing a touchdown. Plays like that, Tez Johnson and Troy Franklin getting 75-yard plus touchdowns in the first quarter alone. You can't allow that as a defense, no matter who the coach is. Players needed to step up, and they were missing some key players, but the USC defense could not do any favors for that offense that almost led a good comeback. Junior running back Carson Steele leads the Bruins in touchdowns and rushing yards despite having reduced production in recent games. Steele broke out against Stanford with 3 touchdowns in UCLA's dominant win. On an offensive unit that has struggled lately, Steele will look to help the Bruins find a much-needed spark against USC. As UCLA will face a defense that has struggled all season, fans should expect Steele to get increased touches.
You guys are crazy for not picking a team that hasn't lost a game all year. The South Carolina Gamecocks are destined to get revenge. Last year, they fell short after having another undefeated season. I know last year was tough, but they're going into this year. It's a clean slate. Camila Cardoso is a pure scorer, and the depth of this team is insane, too. I mean, you look at their starting lineup, they're not even really playing 3/4 of this game. They have their bench coming and really providing that depth that they need, and their shooting is very, very good as well. I got South Carolina finishing a perfect season and winning the national title.
While the Anaheim Ducks have shown glimmers of success, the team has now lost 7 straight. The Ducks started the season well and had a 6-game win streak heading into November, but have fallen off as of late. Anaheim has had to deal with the absence of star center Trevor Zegras, who has been dealing with injuries. The Ducks have been led by former top 3 pick Mason McTavish, who has been a force up the middle. The Ducks will hope to end their skid against Washington tomorrow night at the Honda Center in Anaheim.
I agree. I think it's hard in college sports to put the blame on the players when you have guys that don't necessarily have tons of chemistry, guys playing only 4 to maybe 6 years. And so, yeah, I put the blame on the coaching staff, a team that got complacent and had big expectations, very confident coming into this year, couldn't live up to that. Like you said, offensive-minded, didn't put their cards on that defensive front, had some good players on defense, Bear Alexander, Kalen Bolak, but couldn't get the execution to go, and as a result, let up so many points and lost games.
The men's Final Four matchups are set following an intense Elite 8 round. Alabama took down Clemson thanks to 16 three-point makes, including 7 from Mark Sears. DJ Burns and NC State continued their magical run with an upset over Duke. Purdue finally made it back to the Final Four for the first time since 1980 with a narrow win over Tennessee. And UConn went on a 30-0 run against Illinois to extend its title-defending season. That leaves 4 teams remaining. The 11th-seeded Wolfpack will face the top-seeded Boilermakers, and the 4th-seeded Crimson Tide will battle the 1-seeded Huskies for a chance to play in the national championship game. 2 words for you guys. Roll Tide.
No.
I have Alabama.
No.
Look, Mark Sears broke the single-season scoring record for an Alabama team that's going to their first Final Four in school history. Look, they're catching lightning in a bottle at the right time. A lot of their games have been close, and I know that's sort of concerning, but I love their big man play from Nick Pringle. He's coming off a double-double. And Mark Sears, I mean, this team is not afraid to shoot, and that's what you love to see in March Madness. They started 1 of 13 from long range against Clemson. They go on to make 16 three-pointers, including 7 from Sears himself. He's cementing himself as the best player in Alabama history, and I'm loving this team. I think, like I said, they're catching fire at the right time, and they're rolling right into the Final Four as a good team. So I have the Crimson Tide.
Well, I want to preface this by saying I do think the Trojans can go all the way. Don't get me wrong. But I think the lack of experience at this stage and being a number 1 seed for the first time in so long could get them down. I mean, a team like UConn is one I'm looking at, a team that's had so much championship experience. So I think a team like that with a lot of experience, but we've seen and mentioned earlier, the Trojans beat Ohio State, a top team. They can ride with the big dogs, and I think they can go all the way. But a team like UConn, to me, is a team with experience that can defeat them, and hopefully that won't happen.
I think they absolutely can turn things around. I think there's a lot of parity in the Pac-12 this season thus far. But I also think, we've got to talk about the guy. We've talked on the show before, Jacob Galloway, the catcher. He's on a 19-game hitting streak. The last time he didn't have a hit was the very first game of the season. That was against BYU. He's hitting in the 350s. He's been electric all year. And Austin O'Verne, of course, last season against UCLA, kind of previewing that, he had 5 RBIs in the Pac-12 pool tournament game. And so I think the Trojans have what it takes to beat UCLA coming up. I think they have to take things one series at a time. And like you said, get some good quality starts on the pitching end, get their hitting going, and converting base runners as well into runs.
The West has a lot more parity than the East. In addition to the Pelicans, LA will have to look out for the Kings, Mavericks, and Suns, who are all creeping close behind. With 15 games remaining, a lot of shifting can happen in the wild Western Conference. Well, they're 4th place right now in the West. I mean, if they have a 4-5 matchup against a good team like the Mavericks, Suns, some of the ones mentioned earlier, I just don't know. Given the gauntlet of Western Conference teams, the West is just so much better than the East this year, and I don't know if they'll even make it out of the first round. Injuries aside, I even think fully healthy, going up against a guy like Luka Doncic in a 7-game series, may I add, I don't know if they'll be able to win it.
Look, if I've learned one thing about watching sports, it's not about how good you are in the regular season. It's about getting hot at the right time. I said the same thing about Rhea Marshall. Isaiah Collier, who of course broke his hand and was kind of recovering from injuries, has been a monster lately. 24 points and then 31 for a career high. He's been insane. And look, it's going to take more than Collier to get them to the promised land, so the bigs absolutely need to step up. I'm talking Joshua Morgan, Vincent Iwuchukwu, and of course Boogie Ellis has dealt with some consistency issues as well this season. I think they can go in a deep run. I don't know if they're going to make it all the way, but look, like I said before, it's March Madness. Anything can happen. Yeah, well, I'm going to go with a guy on the defensive side of the football. Kalen Bullock obviously played on a horrible USC defense. He stood out this past season, had a 6.13 on the NFL 10-point scale. That puts him as a projected possible starter in the NFL. I see him as maybe a late second rounder. I think he's going to be good in the NFL. Kalen Bullock, pure athleticism, and I'm really excited for what's to come for him.
Yep. Yeah, the Arizona Coyotes were recently sold in a deal that was facilitated by the NHL. So they were sold to the Smith Group of Utah, the same ownership group that owns the Jazz. And the team will not be the Coyotes anymore. They're leaving their name and colors and everything, logo, in Arizona, as Alex Morello, the former owner of the Coyotes, hopes to bring an expansion team back to the region. But for now, the Coyotes, formerly known as the Coyotes, are moving to Utah. They're going to seek a new arena as the Smith Group will build one for them and the Jazz to share. And they're awaiting a new name. Now, of course, this upcoming year, they're expected to just have a generic name, kind of like how the Washington football team did, which is interesting because the Quebec Nordiques moved to Colorado in the 90s. They had a new name right away for the next season. I guess it's a marketing thing. Times have changed. But it's really sad for this Arizona community that supported this team since 1996.